I'm Scott Simi, InDro's chief content editor, and joining me on today's edition of Soundbite is Arron Griffiths, InDro's director of engineering. Welcome, Arron.
Hi, Scott.
So, kind of a big topic today with the increasing introduction of robots, increasing adoption of robots, particularly in Industry 4.0. A lot of people are kind of starting to wonder, will robots replace significant numbers of workers in the future? And, it's a good question and worth discussing. Aaron, what are your big picture thoughts?
It is basically the topic or fear of everyone around robotics, particularly AI as well. I think the answer is yes and no, and let me elaborate a little bit. So, every industrial revolution has caused disruption in some form or another, and displacement of humans away from classical agriculture or industrial manufacturing or anything into other industries. So there is definitely going to be a painful period when robotics is adopted and jobs that were once held by humans get sort of like, you know, outpaced and, economically more, you know, economically more viable with robots. So that will definitely happen, and people will, quote unquote, lose jobs. But the trick is to make sure that the economy is growing at the same time. And if the economy is growing, then they'll always need more people or more robots and more stuff. So that's the real scary part is if the economy doesn't grow with the scale of robotics adoption, then there would be significant disruption and maybe even humans resisting robotics. But if everything grows at a good rate, I think it will be adopted within like 10 years for a rough patch.
Now, people obviously still possess qualities that robots do not, or at least not yet. Things like creativity, emotional intelligence, the ability to adapt to unseen situations. Does that give us an advantage in holding on to our jobs?
Yes, I mean, you can see robotics and AI as more of a way of like making augmenting humans to be more efficient and getting productivity up. Productivity has flatlined over the past few decades, and so humans are still always going to be needed because we're never going to be able to get robots in the near term to think, feel, imagine, communicate quite like a human to other humans directly. So yeah, I think humans definitely have a one up and will do for the foreseeable decade or so. So yes,
It's been suggested while automation will replace some jobs, there will also be new opportunities for people in areas like AI, robotics, other emerging fields. Thoughts on that, or do you think an AI-enabled robot is going to be taking over some of those tasks?
I think it's a bit of both, right? Like in the like quote unquote Western industry and world, you'll definitely see a lot more automation. But in emerging markets like Africa, India, still Southeast Asia, they're still going to rely heavily on humans to do those things as well. So it's depending on where you are in the world, I think.
There's also kind of the complexity of human interaction, like on a factory floor. So if you think of an average day, whether it's a factory or in the office, and the sheer amount of communication that you and I would engage with our coworkers, could a robot ever actually carry those kinds of tasks out?
Yeah, I mean, we were already seeing it with chatbots and stuff. So communication between two engineers or two systems can pretty much be done with AI. It's whether you're talking about interaction. Like, are you physically passing a tool? Are you passing parts? Are you lifting a human up because you're an elderly care worker? Um, those are that's when robots won't be the ideal solution, but intercommunication, that's already happening, I think, and that is something robots and AI can do pretty well right now.
I've got a few years on you, Aaron, and I can think back to the introduction of ATM machines, automatic bank tellers, or more recently, customer checkouts at your local, drugstore. When these technologies first arrived, there were predictions with the ATMs in particular that tellers would be all out of work. That never happened. Is there kind of a lesson here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great example, and arguably, and then the internet came, and then you could transfer money from person to person, so you didn't even need to go out and get cash. So there's stuff in the future that robotics and AI will enable, and new industries that will come along, or new features along with the internet that we didn't even think of before, right? Or if we do think of it, it will be enabled. So that's what I was talking about earlier, where this new technology will come, it will disrupt, but then everything kind of just shifts a little bit. And as you said, you've still got tellers and banks, and they serve other purposes like higher end complexities, like paying bills or opening mortgages or something else, right?
Gotcha. And now it's often been said, like the mantra's always been, robots and drones are perfect for the three Ds, jobs that are dirty, dull, or dangerous. In other words, jobs that people wouldn't really want to do or get much satisfaction from them. Is that still the case overall, or are we starting to see a shift?
We're starting to see a shift. So it's no secret that the creative industries have been disrupted by the new generative AI and new LLMs doing picture and video. So, that's not dirty, dull, or dangerous. So that's definitely happening. As for physical robots, we do see a lot of cleaning robots and industrial robots, but we are seeing more logistics robots. I mean, it is a bit dull, but lots of people employed in the logistics industry, and not everything is that dull or dangerous. So and then we're trying to get robotics into the healthcare industry, right? With surgical robots and patient delivery, and overall just caring for people's mental health as well with social robots. So it's definitely expanding away from the 3Ds, but they will be always the primary places we would deploy robots.
Great. I can definitely envision another conversation in the future with you on this. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about robotics for, oh god, nearly 25 years now, and I've been working in the industry as well. And the recent hype around AI is impressive, but it's also a long time coming. I think you can remember, Scott, in your early days, people were telling you robots were going to take over your jobs in the 70s, 80s, right? So I don't think the transition is going to be as quick as it may seem. It's the AI bubble's already cooling down. People are realizing their limitations and stuff. So what I would want people to think about, if they're not already doing, is just sort of take everything into context. Like, it will take again another few decades before we really have the robots that we're dreaming about. And so the fear that's around robotics should be sort of tampered down, because I would like people to be more optimistic about robotics and AI. It's definitely new technology. It's definitely going to disrupt, but the more we encourage it and the more we can develop it, the better it will suit our needs, and ultimately the easier it will make your life, right? Like, I'm sure people are already using LLMs to write emails for their job, right? So that's obviously a sign of AI helping them and not hurting them.
Perfect. Great way to wrap up for this session. Arron Griffiths, InDro's Director of Engineering, thanks so much for joining us on this edition of our Soundbite.
Thanks, Scott.